Hi, this is Donna Reeby, and here we help leaders in law enforcement, fire, and EMS have excellent careers, all while taking excellent care of themselves. And today we are going to talk about 3 simple ways that these professionals can reduce their stress and really show up as their best selves. Okay, so let's get to it. Law enforcement, fire, EMS, they are stressed, right? Chronic level of stress, whether you're on the streets or you are behind a desk as a leader, you're essentially dealing with a lot of stress that really elevates your cortisol levels and brings you to a space of, unhealthiness. We know that chronic stress leads to disease, it leads to overeating, it leads to fueling yourself in a way that causes inflammation and bodily stress, bodily de-stress as well, right? So what we're trying to do today is share with you 3 simple ways that you as a leader of your life can develop this work-life harmony and build in simple stress reduction strategies. So let's get started with number 1. So I did this for a team down in Florida recently where we had a bunch of leaders, lieutenants, captains, and sergeants sitting in a room, and they were going through some really crazy, stressful days down there with the floods and with their own homes being, underwater or their roofs falling off. And then here they are showing up in class, right? So we did this one strategy that really helps. I'm going to share it with you today. And you can do this in your cruiser. You can do this in dispatch. You can do this behind your desk. It doesn't take very long, and people may not even know you are doing it. The first strategy is called box breathing. Now, hear me out on this one. It is something that will absolutely reduce your cortisol levels and align you back with a more peaceful, calm self so that you can respond to others in a peaceful, calm way. So this is super easy if you think about it, and it actually lowers your stress levels like we talked about. It reduces your cortisols, but it activates what's called the parasympathetic system. So your nervous system, you have your sympathetic and your parasympathetic. So your sympathetic is your fight or flight, right? So a crisis comes and you get scared and you either run or you die. Right? And so that system is very important to us. However, when we are in first responder environments, particularly, let's say you're a law enforcement officer or you're, an analyst or you're a chief, right? And you're dealing with all the political craziness that you have to deal with. Well, you're constantly in this sympathetic state where you're fight or flight, and you may not even notice it anymore. The only way to really notice it or to measure it is to get a cortisol test, which is when it's a saliva test 4 times a day to see your elevated cortisol levels, right? But let's assume that you are chronically stressed because you're in these environments and you haven't really developed methods to regularly and chronically reduce that stress. So by doing this box breathing, which I'm going to show you in a second, this first strategy, and we have 2 more, by doing this box breathing, you actually activate your parasympathetic system, which helps you calm and restore. You can't calm and restore if you're operating out of that sympathetic system. So we want to activate the parasympathetic system so that you can get calm and restore. And so another key element of this box breathing is that it brings you to the current moment. When you're in the current moment, you're not thinking about the past, you're not worried about the future, you're thinking about right now in a calm, meaningful way. So let's get to it. How do you box breathe? So it's very, very simple. And this is what we taught in Florida to those lieutenants and captains and sergeants. So you literally imagine a box. You literally just imagine a box. You can print one out if you want, or you can, draw one out if you want. You don't have to. You could be sitting in a meeting and box breathing. So essentially, you breathe up for 4. You hold for 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And you release for 4. And then you hold for 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So it looks like this. And then you repeat, and you continue to repeat. And sometimes when you actually apply this method as you're talking to someone, it doesn't look as dramatic, right? You're kind of and then you respond. That is immediately igniting your parasympathetic system. It's calming. It's a chemical piece. It's a chemical reaction that you're changing in your body simply by breath, okay? Simply by this box breathing. So you can carry it with you wherever you are. You can be in your cruiser and you're like, all right, I'm going on a hot pursuit or not pursuit, right? Or maybe you're sitting at your desk and you're looking at rape and robbery and all these things. Or maybe you're the dispatcher and you're receiving these calls and you're at the butt end of the calls on a regular basis, having people scream at you, yell at you, and you got to figure out how to manage this internal stress so that you're not reacting, right? This also helps a lot in your home life. Maybe you do some box breathing right before you go home. So that's strategy number one. Strategy number two is called Ujjayi Pranayama, right? So Ujjayi, what the heck is that? What does that mean? You sounded like you're talking another language, and it is true. So this is something that a lot of yoga folks do. In fact, I do it quite a bit. And it's another way of breathing that actually also helps clear and start that parasympathetic system. But it does some other things too. It actually helps reduce your fluid in your body. So if you find that you have a little edema or you have a little fluid retention in your body, the type of breathing that I'm going to share with you next actually reduces it. So you've been sitting in your cruiser, your feet are, flailing, right? And maybe you've been sitting at your desk a little bit longer than you should. Maybe, you're pressing your fingers and you're feeling like a little bit of swelling going on. This is really going to help you with Ujjayi breathing. So Ujjayi Pranayama. And then, so the other thing it actually does is it decreases your phlegm. So if you are struggling a little bit with your breathing, maybe you have a little something in your throat on a regular basis, maybe it's allergy season, whatever it might be, or maybe you're starting to come down with something, this Ujjayi breathing is going to help you with that as well, right? So it helps a lot with detoxing, with chronic colds, with coughs, with indigestion, liver problems, fever, and other things. So you can use this at multiple places. You can use this in your cruiser. You can use this in the ambulance. You can use this wherever you are, but you can also use this at home. So I'm going to share it with you exactly how to do Ujjayi breath. And if you forget what does Ujjayi breath, just call it ocean breath, okay? And so this is something that's going to get you into that deeper meditative state. So what you do is you feel right here in your neck, right? Right here where your thyroid is, kind of in this area, right? And you take these breaths in a way that makes it sound like the ocean is coming out of your body, right? So listen to this. So it's almost like you're tightening the back of your throat just a little bit, right? It's almost like you're tightening it up and you're making this ocean sound. And then as you get better and better at Ujjayi breathing or ocean breathing, you extend it even longer up and longer down. And here's the thing, guys, I've been in law enforcement for 24 something years, right? These are the strategies that I've implemented in my life to not only help me in my work environment, but to help me at home. I have children, I have things that go on, that driver who, is too close to my car. And these are the kind of things that I do that are simple and doable. You don't have to remember much. You can remember the box breathing, right? That was number one. And number two, that ocean breathing. Ready? We'll do it again together right here, from right here. It's almost like dragon, right? It's almost like a dragon. So that is one that's very, very good for you. That you can start to count up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then release 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then maybe you get up to 7. You're going up and then you're going down for 7. These will turn on your parasympathetic system. It actually helps with digestion, and it's really great for when you're starting to feel a cold come on and you just don't want to take any time out of work, right? Or maybe you're at home and you don't want to feel like a little flummy. So you do some of these things that really help your body, okay? So, there's that piece of breathing that we don't realize. It is really something that is so handy to us that can stimulate that balance, particularly in that thyroid. So you're right here in that thyroid region. You're stimulating a healthy metabolism, a healthy thyroid, right? So that's a great easy thing to do. And if you're unsure, you're like, how am I going to remember all these things? Plug it into your phone at 1:20 every day. Ujjayi Breathe or Ocean Breathe. Maybe at 9 a.m. every morning before you walk in the office, or 8:30 before you get out on the street. Maybe you're on roll call. You just decide to do box breathing. Maybe you do it in the shower. Like, just keep it in a way where it's fresh for you. Or maybe there's crisis and you're like, what did that lady Dawn maybe say about this work-life balance piece? I'm going to implement it right now, right? All you got to do is remember a box and remember the ocean. So the third one I'm going to share with you, this actually relieves stress. So the other two you could really use throughout the day to kind of sustain yourself, and you could use them in crisis, right? But you can really use this in this calming approach to life overall, right? This last one I'm going to share with you, it actually reduces stress that you're currently in. So if you're in a heightened stressful state, it's the holidays, maybe you're like, oh my gosh, how am I going to get this? What am I going to do? Who's cooking? Like, am I going to see Aunt Sally? Like, all the things, you're in the motion, you're feeling the stress, you're feeling the anxiety. This is when it's fully present for you. How can you restore and heal right then and right there? So the last one I'm going to share with you is exactly that. So this also sharpens your focus and your energy. So let's say maybe you got put on a detail, or maybe you got put somewhere. Maybe you're an analyst and you're sitting behind that desk and you have to study. Maybe you're a detective looking at catalytic converter thefts and you got to focus. So when you want a little extra focus in your world, this last one is going to reduce stress and help you focus and give you energy. So instead of going for that cup of coffee, right, you can go ahead and do this next thing that I'm going to share with you. Now, I drink coffee every morning. I drink a strong black coffee with mushrooms and all kinds of yummy stuff in it that helps support my immune system. But I don't want to have that all day long. I just want to have a little bit in the morning to do what it's supposed to do and to give me the nutrients that I'm looking for, right? The antioxidants and so forth. But folks who are stopping at dunks, late nights and all the things, like, you're just stimulating your central nervous system in a way that's not healthy for you. These strategies are going to help you reduce stress and restore. So this one that I'm about to show you, this last one, sharpens your focus, helps you restore, and it also helps improve your respiratory endurance. So if you're a runner or you want to pass your physical exam, like, these are the things to do to strengthen your lung endurance, right? You don't want your immune system impacted. You don't want to catch colds every single time you encounter somebody. These are the things you do to really support your respiratory system. So this last one that does all of that is nostril breathing. Hold on, wait a second. You might be saying to yourself, what the heck is nostril breathing, right? And so I'm going to show you exactly how to do it. But remember, this helps support your respiratory system, strengthens your respiratory system. Okay, this helps sharpen your focus, right? You can deal with more situations with clarity, right? And with focus and energy. And of course, it is going to restore and heal you and reduce your stress levels. So how do we do nostril breathing? It's really, it's not as simple as the others, right? Because there's a little bit of focus that has to happen. But here you go. There's a couple different ways that you can do it. I'm going to show you the simplest way, and then I'll show you the next level of it. But for right now, here's what you do. You put your finger over one nostril, okay? You breathe in through that nostril, and then you switch, and you breathe out through this nostril. Then you breathe in, switch, breathe out. Last time, breathe in, switch, breathe out. So that is nostril breathing. Up and down, then switch. Up and down, then switch, right? Or down and up and switch. It doesn't matter what order you go in, but you got to get a full cycle in there and then switch. So when you get super fancy with this, you can kind of do this like where you take your pinky finger and you can kind of do it like this. It takes a little bit more concentration. So you go. Right? right? And you can do doubles, you can do all kinds of stuff, right? But I like to keep it simple. So I'm just gonna put my finger on my nose and breathe it in and then breathe it out and go to the other side. So, when we are in the law enforcement, fire, EMS environment, we really got to do a much better job of taking care of ourselves. What often happens with correctional officers, with other folks, like you're on high alert. You have to be smart on a regular basis. And you're regularly faced with individuals, with situations that are going to promote this high anxiety in you. And if you're at the point right now where you don't even see it in yourself anymore, but your friends, your family, some others, maybe you got some tests back with high blood pressure or whatever it might be. Maybe you've put on a few pounds, because we know cortisol levels, when they are jacked up, they actually our body responds by holding onto weight, right? So we gain weight with cortisol levels at an imbalance. And so if this is you, if you're finding that, hey, we've talked about 3 different ways that we can release stress, but the reality is you are under the most amount of pressure. We are under the most amount of pressure. We must take care of ourselves now, because look at the statistics. People who retire from fire and from similar, policing environments, they finally realize how stressed they are once they actually leave. I want you to enjoy life now. I want you to create balance now. I want you to create work-life harmony now, with leadership of self as your top priority, so that you are healthy, so that you are not relying on medications to get you through your day, your pain, your anxiety, whatever it might be. Giving you the tools that you need to make your job professional and lead with yourself, right? Leadership of self is critical for long-term success. So here at Excellence in Analytics, we definitely can help if you're struggling with this particular challenge. So our health coaching for law enforcement and other professionals can certainly be part of your regimen to get you on the right path. But in the meantime, go ahead and practice those 3 little methods of breathing. Box breathing, right, was number 1. That Ujjayi or ocean breath was number 2. And then that nostril breathing was number 3.